Hello, folks. Welcome back to another week of the Tiger Sports Show. I'm your host, Greg Mays. I'm here with little brother Trent Mays. How you doing this week, Trent?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's NFL division round, so I'm doing great.
Yeah, that's a big deal because why?
Oh, because my guy's still playing later tonight.
I thought you were a big I thought you were a big New England fan. I don't think New
I
England's in.
Yeah, New England's not in, but my QB's in.
Your QB's in. Is that the Brady
Huh.
kid, the guy from Michigan?
Yeah, it's the guy from Michigan, the guy that was taken in the 7th round,
Yeah,
aka the GOAT, the
I haven't
greatest
seen
of
an
all time.
I haven't seen an NFL game in a long time. It got boring. It got boring about when he entered the league.
That's fine with me.
How are my Chiefs doing?
Oh, they're ahead.
I've been a Chiefs fan since Christmas 1971, buddy. Christmas 1971.
You even know who the quarterback is for the Chiefs right now?
Len Dawson.
And that's what I thought you were going to say. That shows how long that you haven't paid attention to him. Because actually, they got a pretty good quarterback right now.
I've heard. I heard he's a lot of fun. All right.
It cost me some fantasy games there.
All right. Well, it's been a good week for the Tigers too, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, most definitely. Girls basketball went 2-1 this week. Boys went 1-1. Good performances by the swimmers and the wrestlers.
Yeah, we're going to get to all that in a little bit, but I think we'll start with girls basketball. We've got a special guest with us today. We've got Lauren Heinrichs from the girls basketball team. There she is. Hey, Lauren, how are you doing?
I am good.
All right. Well, as Trent was saying, we went 2-1 this week. What's kind of your overall impression on the 3 games this week?
I think we played hard on all the games. Elkhorn's usually a pretty tough matchup for us, and we held our own until the end, so that was good.
Yeah, I thought, last night kind of went south, that little spot. I can't remember if it was in the first quarter or the second quarter. We kind of gave them a bunch of points, and that ended up kind of being the whole margin.
Yeah, middle of the first, they took an 11-point run on us, and it was hard to come back from that.
Yeah, but we did. Came back, and we have the ball twice down 3, and had balls kind of go halfway down the rim and back out. Yeah.
Libby Langren hit a big driving layup to get it to 3-point game with a minute and a half left. So those of us who were back in Hastings watching the spotty Elkhorn Strive coverage, but luckily the Hilgendorf Broadcasting Network was on the air.
They had the Facebook. I tell you, that was some great coaching by me. Of course, this was Libby's first game coming eligible after her transfer. She's driving to the hoop, and I'm doing the old coach thing. Set it up, set it up, set it up.
Did you tell her to pass?
I just was saying, I just was going, whoa. And sometimes it's good when they can't hear me, right, Lauren?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let that girl go to the basket. Unleash her. What are you doing?
All right. Well, Trent, what do you got from Lauren? What do you want to hear from her?
Oh, you go first. I'm still trying to come up with some good questions. So.
All right. Well, I want to talk about the defensive end of things, because one thing I think you really do for us is act as a traffic cop back there. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking back there when you're in the back of the defense trying to keep all the parts managed.
Well, I'm thinking out of the 5 of us on the court, I'm most likely to be able to stand in the way of them in the basket rather than KK Laus at 5 foot.
Yeah.
And usually Elkhorn was probably one of the first teams that have really had useful people out on the perimeter rather than just having people stand out there and pass. So yesterday I had to be a little more attentive to my person than I have in the past few weeks, just because while they would drive, they could shoot from the outside too. But usually I'm able to stay down low enough that I can step in front for help side if I need to be.
Sounds good. Hey, I was saying to the team the other day that, we're kind of starting the home stretch here. And we've had a nice season, 8-4, a lot of wins, on our way to a bunch of wins, I think. But what do you think? What do we need to get a big win? We haven't gotten that big signature win yet. like we got over Grand Island Northwest last year when they were one of the best teams in the state? What do you think we need to up our game in to get one of those big teams?
I think that usually we have our games, we go either offense is good or our defense is good. And we haven't been able to put the two of them together to have a solid all around game. And I think that's what happened last year during Northwest, is that all in all, we just had a phenomenal game. And last night, some of our shots just really could not go in, but I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to put the two of them together.
I think that's a pretty good summary of where we need to be. And of course, you'd much rather have that happen in February than in December.
Yeah.
All right, Trent, now's your shot. What do you want to know?
Well, I just, how much fun was it playing? And you also played softball for the Tigers. How much fun was that state tournament run?
Oh, it's fantastic. It's always awesome to be in a position where you're making school history. So
yeah, that's cool. I'm also the one that tries to get you pumped for rebounding, and I haven't seen you as much this year because unless you go to the library, you don't really get to see me. That's where they keep me. So, but I'm also the guy that says, "Play big, Lauren. Play big."
Oh, I know.
I've had to advise Trent on several instances, Lauren, that the referees can't tell my voice from his voice. So he has to be careful of what he's saying to people.
I do. I've learned that the hard way.
I had to kind of be careful last night. What did you think? Refereeing a little different as we head to Omaha, didn't you think?
Yeah. And I mean, we usually expect that in Omaha, especially after last year in our Platteview game. I think most of us have come to accept that when you're out east, that it's just that's the way it's gonna be, and we just struggle to adjust to that as when we should have.
Yeah, and we've got a couple more chances. We're going out there for Scott. We'll be back there for Platteview, picking them up in the regular season. It's just not as easy to adjust either.
Yeah.
In the old days, we always kind of thought, well, the further east you went, the more physical the basketball got, and it just wasn't going to be called very much. And the further west you went, when we went to North Platte in the old days, we were like, okay, you can't touch anybody. But it's just not quite that way. I was thinking about it last night. We got several belly and up fouls where we were showing our hands, and we got called for the body. Where back here in the middle of the state, if you show your hands on that, they kind of know you're going to bump a little bit. But it wasn't like it was less physical, because they were really getting away with what I call the two-hand hand check, which we just don't do here at all. When they started calling it, I thought, well, maybe we do it all the time too. So I started watching us, and we don't. So, that's kind of an adjustment. That's a tough adjustment. We're going to have to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving picks are also legal in the Omaha area too. So, did we ever bring in Coach Cafferty when you were playing, Lauren, and have him blow the whistle on us a little bit and make some calls?
No.
It might be time for Coach Cafferty to come back to practice again. That might be good.
Yes, and I'm glad I didn't go to the game yesterday, because probably wouldn't have been very popular.
Yeah, it was kind of a big, quiet gym too. You would have been easily to hear. What do you think, Lauren, about how the restrictions have been lifted a little bit? Our last two home crowds have been a little bit better, didn't you think?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that at the beginning of the season, where we were like, man, we wish our student section could come, and now they're here, and it's really helpful. Wish they would stand during our games, but what do you do about that? But it's nice to have people from your community there instead of just your parents. Because when it's just your parents, you can hear your dad the whole time, and I don't want to.
And we all know how good that is. Dads are important, Lauren.
Yep.
All right. Well, student body, if you're out there watching, Lauren says stand up during the games. I thought the noise was really good, that Lex game. I was having trouble talking to you guys.
You had to bring the note card. You had to bring the cards out.
Yeah. I didn't need those last night.
No.
All right. Well, Lauren, thanks for being on the show. And when we make some basketball history, we'll have you back on the show. All right.
All right. Sounds good.
Lauren, we got to work on getting me 12 rebounds a game. So
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Big goals.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you.
All right. She's always good to have a talk with. Very confident young lady, and for very good reasons. Not only a great athlete, but a great student. I've really enjoyed having her in class this year. She's a thinker, Trent.
Yeah, definitely. She's always nice and courteousy in the hall, and even when I keep reminding her to get me 12 rebounds. So,
all right. Well, should we run through kind of the week? How about we start with swimming? What do you know about swimming?
I know you dive in the water.
All right. Well, the swimmers had two big events this week, and I think we really learned something about our girls team. Trent, listen to this, okay? So the boys, they went to Beatrice on a duel. I got word that they were going to Beatrice because I got a text from my daughter. She was driving from Lincoln to Kearney, and she says, "I just saw the Tiger bus." And I thought, well, I'm not on the Tiger bus. So I looked it up, and the swimmers were headed to Beatrice. The boys went down to Beatrice and tied them exactly 84 points to 84 points. That's hard to do. Jacob Haase, Jay Sepperly, Andrew Heckman got wins. Haase was a double winner, and the Tigers won both the 200 free relay and the 200 medley. So nice day for the boys. The girls down in Beatrice, Diana Berlita won the 100 back. Izzy Cervani, a freshman, won the 200 free. Lucy Fejo won the 200 individual medley. And if I'm not pronouncing your name right, Lucy, tell Hayden Stevenson to get me in gear. And then the 200 medley relay won. But the girls got beat by about 40-some points by Beatrice.
Wow.
Well, I talked to Hayden about it. And Hayden says, well, the deal is Beatrice is super deep. Beatrice is a co-op with Beatrice. So the Beatrice Orangemen, the Fairbury Jeffs, and the North Titans. That's a big spread out co-op.
That's two Class B schools. You don't see that very much.
Well, that's really the only way real Bs, bees who've always been bees, can compete in swimming. We're a co-op with St. Cecilia and Adams Central now. But boy, Fairbury, Norris, and Beatrice, do you think they even get together every day to practice?
I wouldn't think they do. I don't know. That would be a little crazy travel.
Well, I know swimmers are used to traveling to get to pools, so maybe. But maybe they do workouts in their own community. I don't know.
Yeah, you think they'd have to drive to Beatrice and they'd meet there.
Yeah. But our girls, very strong at the top, but we just don't quite have the numbers to compete in a duel. Okay. So then we headed to Lincoln for the Gene Cotner invite. That's 10 teams. Really probably the best teams outside of Omaha in the state. If you eliminate the Omaha schools. The boys had a great day. They finished 4th behind Kearney, Grand Island, and Fremont. But the girls finished 2nd, 1 point behind Grand Island. They were 1 point away from taking the individual title, which shows you when we're in the big invites, those top girls we've got who can really compete for points, and almost all of our girls can compete for points. We're a real threat. And that's, with Olympic sports like swimming and track, sometimes it works that way.
Yep.
For the boys at Lincoln High, Sepperly had a 3rd place in the 200 free. Haase won the 100 freestyle. He's a heck of a sprinter, I'll tell you that. Sepperly was 3rd in the 500 free. And Oshner came in 3rd in the 100 breaststroke. So nice day for the boys. On the girls' side, Diana won the 50 free and was 2nd in the 100 butterfly. Louder was 3rd in the 200 free and 2nd in the 100 butterfly. The freestyle relay, the 200 freestyle relay finished 2nd, and the 400 freestyle was the champions. That's Louder, Stevenson, Musil, and Bralita. So a great day for the girls, and just a sign that they're really going to be able to put some points on the board when we get to state swimming in the Devaney Center eventually. You and me, we may have to tune in on NET and watch that one, Trent. Yeah,
I've watched a little swimming. I watched when Grant was swimming last year a little bit when I could. I think that was when I was driving to Platteview.
Yeah, I think it was. All right. Well, moving on from swimming to wrestling. Wrestling was at the Grand Island Northwest duels, and probably didn't have as good a time in pool as we thought we would. We lost to Pierce 40-33. That was a rematch of last year's state duels final, wasn't it, Trent? Hastings and
Yeah.
Pierce.
Yep.
Then
Yes,
we
it was.
beat the new school, Elkhorn North, beat them bad, and then lost to Central City, a strong class. I think they're still B. Maybe they're down into C now.
They're C. They're Class C power. They
Yeah.
won state a couple of years ago.
So we went 1 and 2 in there, went down into the consolation bracket where we beat York and the host Grand Island Northwest. Really handled both of them to finish 5th in the tournament. Landon Widener and Blake Davis were 5-0 for the day. Cameron Brumbaugh, Jaden Meyer, Elijah Johnson, Jet Samuelson, and Jackson Phelps, all 4-1. So we got a lot of guys still doing pretty well. Did you say you have the ratings?
Yeah, the Nebraska Scholastic Wrestling Coaches Association rankings came out this week. The Tigers moved into the top 10 tournament rankings. Number 10, Beatrice is number 1 there, and Gehring. Those are 2 teams we've seen in Aurora. What did they say about Hastings? Hastings is the guy just says Hastings is pretty underrated in the tournament end, but we do have we have a new top ranked dual team. You know who that is?
Who is it?
It's Hastings High Tigers.
Oh, wow. That's
Hastings is
interesting.
number 1 in the dual rankings. I think we've been really strong there. We moved ahead of Beatrice,
Huh.
and then Blair and Gehring and Bennington break out the top 5. They're just talking about how they're sort of disappointed that we don't have the state duels this year, because Class B would be pretty exciting and any one of the top 5 teams could win it. Individual rankings at 106, Cameron Brumbaugh is ranked 6th. Hunter Anderson is ranked 6th at 113. We go down the list a little bit.
What about Landon at 145?
Landon Widener is 3rd at 145, which is good for Landon. He's been hanging strong there most of the year. We keep moving down. 182. Wait, nope. Got to go one more.
How about Blake at 220?
Yeah, Blake at 220 is 3rd too, so we're sitting strong there. And that's it for rankings. So
heck of a year for Blake, who, he's still feeling that shoulder a little bit from football. But that's a kid who's not afraid of being in a little pain, I don't think.
No, he definitely can play with pain.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the football players are just finally getting around.
Yeah.
Jarrett looks like he has a little spring to his step, and now you knew they had to be sore, not getting a lot of rest, and that's all the individuals that we have, but that's a pretty good core. And there's other Tigers, Phelps, and the other younger wrestlers have been doing good things too.
Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. I know we're the defending duels champ, and we're not having duels this year because of the virus. And, okay, I thought, but boy, I never thought that might rob us of a chance at another state title, huh?
Yeah, well, they would put us in the mix. Those top 5 teams, according to the ratings there and whoever does that, it looks like any of the top 5 teams in there could have a chance at that. But they have to do sub-districts. Those wrestling districts are pretty large. It's good that they're breaking them down to limit the teams and the wrestlers involved.
Well, it won't be long till we're starting to do district previews.
Yeah, definitely.
It's getting to be that time of year. Boy, as we move to boys basketball, where are the boys sitting? The boys have a chance to host their sub-district?
The boys were close to the top 10. I didn't look this morning.
The boys beat both Lexington and McCook, didn't they?
Yeah, they won both those games. So here.
And the boys sub-district is just like ours: Holdridge, McCook, Lexington, and we don't play Holdridge, so it's all on NSAA points. I know the girls on the girls' side, we're the leader right now, and if we can keep up our pace. You know, we're 8-4. If we can keep winning twice as many games as we lose, or a little better, we got a good chance to host that sub-district. Like I was talking with Lauren, we need some big wins if we want a chance to host a district final, which not my favorite system in the world, but I'd sure like to be hosting it. Let's talk boys basketball games a little bit, Trent. Aurora, the boys fell behind. They were trailing by 18 in the fourth quarter and really stormed back. Ended up making that game 61-53. Any thoughts on the boys game over there in Aurora?
Aurora's just a tough place to play. They have some good athletes left over from football, and just got to get the ball in the basket. And they had a couple of guys hit some big threes.
Yeah.
And you just can't get down 18. Now, turn around to Friday, they don't get down 18 versus McCook. They got out 9-0. McCook doesn't score a field goal in the first quarter.
Whoa.
2 free throws with under a minute left. Tigers came out with a ton of energy, which was great. They needed that. They've been getting behind a lot and had to use a lot of energy. Whitty has 23 to lead the Tigers. Gabe Garcia, G Square, had 14. Our favorite quarterback, Mr. Sinek, had 10. And Rodney McLean comes in, gives them valuable minutes and gets 2 3-pointers. They got minutes from Schramm and some different guys that came in. I think he's trying to get some more depth. And then they just went back and forth. And then Sinek got the boys going to start the fourth quarter. And they kept it out to 9-point lead. And you know how we are. We're counting possessions at the end of the game. I was sitting by Coach Cheddar for most of the game, and he's spouting off how many possessions were up late in the game. So,
well, hey, I'm glad to hear Roddy hit a couple threes. He's in my class too. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it just him and G Square, Gabe Garcia. They're not afraid to chuck the ball. So they have they're really
Gabe had 19 over Aurora. Gabe had 19.
Yeah, I think they shut Whitty down, but Gabe and Rodney are
14.
Yeah. Gabe and Rodney are close to my heart because they're chuckers like I am. So
yeah, but if Gabe was really a Brett Larson type 3-point shooter, Larson, even though he might make a 2 or a free throw every so often, you check his box scores. That guy would make sure he always had a multiple of 3 in the box score.
Oh yeah,
always. Yeah. That way, it always looked like he had hit nothing but threes. Gabe's got to work on that. That 19, we can tell Gabe you hit a free throw. Nobody, we don't want that. Got to work on those multiples of 3.
Yeah, the lethal 3-point shooter was even at the game. I saw him Friday night. So
was he?
Brett came last year a ton. It was good. That's probably his first game he's got to see with the new restrictions being lifted. So I saw a couple Tigers in the bleachers, former Tiger players in the bleachers. Friday, so.
With Brett, it's a big deal. He's got those boys, and he was a heck of a shooter. But man, the wife, she was an athlete, Tran, an athlete.
Yeah, he's got the twin boys. So
yeah. All right.
I know he gets tired chasing those two around. I didn't see them at the game Friday, so.
All I know is any honoriness he's getting from them is well deserved.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tate just said the boys are 12th and wild card points, so they're still in striking distance. Big games at Beatrice for both teams. Beatrice girls are 3rd in points. Their boys are in the top 6, so
those are going to be big games.
Hopefully we can get those on TV so I can watch them. But
yeah, and Tate points out to me Holdridge is not in Class B for the boys. Northwest is in the boys sub, but the boys are number 1. So possibility right now, the boys and girls could both end up hosting those tournaments. We could get more basketball here.
Yeah, that would be big.
That'd be good, especially since both teams have a lot of road games at the end of the year. We only have a few home games left. Be nice to pick up a couple more.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Well, on the girls' side, we went over and picked up what I really feel is a nice win at Aurora, an Aurora team that had started off the year with a bunch of losses, but then had won 4 straight. A team that really shoots the ball well. I thought we just had a great defensive night. We won at 35-31. Really would have been a nice night to hit a few more shots because it could have been kind of a 50-30 win. We played defense that well, but boy, we struggled a little bit, put it in the hole. Mac Long had 14, Daisy Seeley had 8, KK Laux picked up 8. And then the next, not the next night, but Friday night against McCook, the lid kind of came off the basket. Late in the first half, I think we scored about 8 or 10 points in about a minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah, you hit the back-to-back threes with about 40 seconds left. You ran my favorite play, Carney. I'm starting to get the vibe on your plays. I can see him develop. Carney's my favorite one. But you ran Carney. KK just launches their feet and gets squared up. And then McCook tries to go down. We force a tough shot. And then we move the ball up quickly. And Matty Hilgendorf calls the bank on the 3 at the buzzer. And that's just a huge 6-point turnaround. And I really like the defense in both games. Aurora, you made them work for everything they had. They spent a lot of time passing it. It sort of looked like the movie Hoosiers a little bit.
They're a patient program. They always are. They'll just always be patient with that basketball.
It seemed like they were making 6 and 7 passes. I was just glad they weren't calling out the number of passes like in Hoosiers, where they throw it 5 or 6 times. And the Dog Pound's a tough place to play for Hastings teams. We get a little bit over there sometimes.
Yeah, it can be a tough place, and the Aurora people, they show up. That was the first pep band we've seen, Trent. They had their pep band live, so that was kind of exciting. I will tell you, late in that game when we were trying to take the air out of the ball a little bit, the day before we had worked on our delay game a little bit, where we had the girls trying to make 30 passes before they turned it over. And so the defense was scrambling. The defense had 6 people and was trying to trap them. And I didn't even really think about it, but when we started holding the ball a little bit, my bench was counting passes on our end. So we didn't quite make it to 30, but we killed a couple 30 seconds in a row there.
And defense in the Aurora game, they only scored 11 points in the second half. I thought that was huge. They hit a couple threes early and or something like that. But that was what stood out to me watching this drive and listening to Mike Will on the radio. So
yeah, I made a big mistake late in the game when we were up 7. I turned to Coach Vanderpool and I said, have they even scored in the fourth quarter? And that's when that girl unleashed that 40-footer that went straight in. Yeah, and so they hit a 3 there. And actually then we kind of had to play the end game out a little bit, call some timeouts and make sure we got the ball inbounds and some things like that. I probably got too cute there, but we got that taken care of and won 35-31. The win over McCook was 47-26. And then the Elkhorn game ended up being an Antler win, 43-38. Daisy had 12. Maddie had 6. Libby Langren in her first weekend of playing, and Mac had 5 points apiece. And again, we climbed all the way back. We were down double digits in that game, climbed all the way back and had shots to tie it. So as disappointed as we are about the loss, I really liked the way we executed the fourth quarter. Did some nice jobs with our pressure. That might be something we can add to our game here late in the season, and that's always good.
I thought the press did pretty good against McCook. It was the first time I think I'd seen us press a little bit. I saw Tate signaling 22. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, we worked that zone press a little, and then at Elkhorn we worked our man press a little bit. And so that was good. Hey, while we're talking basketball, my reserves this week played a pretty good game at home. Boy, who were they playing, Trent? It was a battle. Man, I could just see them, but I can't remember it now. But they came out just on the short end. But then my reserve Bs headed over to Harvard yesterday. The reserve Bs, I love that bunch of girls. You know, there just aren't a lot of teams that have a reserve B team. There's not many people for us to play. Yeah. So we go to small towns like Harvard and play their JVs. And the girls went over there and picked up a win. So they were pretty fired up. Coach Simmons was pretty fired up.
Didn't
Big reserve.
they go to McCook Monday?
Yeah, they did. They went to McCook and won, and then we came home. And,
That was I can't remember who that.
be
Oh,
brief, I
Columbus.
can't- Columbus. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's always a tough doubleheader for us because our reserve B has to play Columbus's best freshman, and our reserve A plays their sophomores. Well, those just aren't fair fights, and the reserve B had a tough time, but the reserve A, boy, they were right in it. If we'd hit a couple more jump shots, we could have won that game. Was really proud of those girls. The boys didn't play because the Columbus boys had virus issues. So those games got called off. But those girls are really pushing toward the end of their season. We're hearing some rumblings now that we might pick up the Adams Central JV games this Tuesday, 2 days from now. We might go out and play those. I just got a text right before I sat down for the show. So we're going to see if that works for us or not. It kind of complicates the schedule. I'm trying to look ahead at the week here. Looks like the reserves, the reserve B is playing Doniphan on Monday. And the boys are taking their 9th and 10th grade team, or actually those games are here. They're playing here. Then on Tuesday, that's when we might reschedule those JV games because there's no basketball games scheduled there. On Thursday this week, the Wrestlers have home against McCook, and we're going all 3 levels, freshman, JV, and varsity duels. That's while the varsity and JV boys and girls basketball teams travel to Beatrice. Then Friday is a rare open day. We got no activities on Friday. But then on Saturday, things get busy. The Wrestlers head to Lexington for freshman and JV tournaments. The girls reserve hosts a tournament, as do the boys freshman basketball tournament. The varsity Wrestlers will also be in Lexington for that invitational. And then the varsity and JV boys and girls basketball teams are going to host the Columbus Discoverers. So pretty busy week, Trent. And that leads me to my trivia question. You ready for it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Boys basketball. This year we don't play Grand Island. Did you know that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Grand Island has a big star recruit, so they're playing in some fancy game, and they dropped us to play in it, which makes me grumpy. But that makes this question a little easier. What school do we have the longest lasting series with, who we've played every year for the longest?
Oh, wow.
And the answer wasn't Grand Island before this, by the way.
Is it GA Northwest?
Nope.
Oh, that would be my favorite.
You're not thinking long enough. I think we've been playing Grand Northwest since maybe 81 or 82. Heck, that's barely 40 years, Trent.
Columbus?
Yeah, there you go. The Columbus Discoverers.
You got to give me credit.
Saturday.
So if they're playing the Adams Central games this week, do we have any news about the Adams Central varsity games if they're looking at the JV games for Tuesday?
Well, that's because they've moved the varsity games to Hastings College. Hadn't you gotten the news?
Yeah, but I just thought we'd share it with the masses. I knew that. I was setting you up. It was a tease.
Oh, all right. I don't know what day that Adams Central game is. Still a couple weeks in the future, isn't it?
The 9th.
9th of February?
Week after GI Northwest is on the Tuesday, the February 2nd.
Okay. So Tuesday, February 9th over at Hastings College, boy and girl varsity only doubleheader. The Adams Central people agreed to move it out there knowing that we're going to have attendance restrictions, knowing that that's a game that people like to see and that Hastings College can fit some more people. So that should be fun. I've always wanted to play a game in that arena. So should be a good event for the community.
Yeah, I think so too. And they seat probably 2,000, maybe 2,400. So about 600 less than the Palace, the Jungle. So you get in 2,400, you get 1,200. And it's probably better this way. I think so. But at least I don't have to get asked to get out of school early to go out to Adams Central, because usually you have to get out of school at 3:30 to try to go get a seat. So
all right, well, this will save you some time then. That's good.
You don't have to worry about that because you're always guaranteed a seat.
Well, I don't know. It's not always a good seat, Trent. It's not always where you want to be.
I know. But that'll be fun down the road, and we got some business to take care of before that. So
yeah, we do. We do. I know both of those teams out at Adams Central. Those are some pretty good basketball teams. It's going to be a challenging night for the Tigers.
and it should be a fun night for the city. So
Usually is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps us up for this week for the Tiger Sports Show. Once again, socially distanced. What do you want to say, Trent?
Just say go Tigers. Let's go get some dubs, like Coach Shu says.
All right. Go Tigers. Thanks, folks.